now call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Texas Southmost College District. Trustees present, Mr. J.J. De Leon, Ms. Alejandra Aldrete, Mr. Ruben Herrera, Mrs. Delia Sainz, Ms. Eva Alejandro, myself, and also present, Jesus Roberto Rodriguez. Dr. Jesus Roberto Rodriguez, our president. Dr. Zabaleta is absent. And I'll call on Mr. J.J. to lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Public comment? No public comment. President's report. Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees. Good evening. I'm happy to report that our summer semester began on Monday, June 6th. As I've mentioned before, this is the counting year in terms of how the state legislature will determine our funding for the next biennium. I will have a registration rally scheduled for this Saturday, the June 18th, for Summer 2 at the Olivera Student Service Center to assist students register for classes as well as students with advising, testing, financial aid, and other services needed to enroll for this year. The Summer 2 begins July 12th and Fall, which begins on August 21st. We will have 2 more registration rallies this summer, leading to our fall semester. We have an increased number of BISD dual credit students on campus this summer, and BISD wanted their students to attend face-to-face on TSC campus. I appreciate that from the BISD. Next, I'm pleased to announce that the TSC College Preparatory Studies Learning Labs have been re-awarded certification as Level 1, 2, and 3 Certified Tutor Training Programs by the internationally recognized College Readiness and Learning Association. Our CPS Learning Labs, CPS Learning Lab supervisors, Mr. Reyes Maraboto and Mr. Michael Espinosa, have worked hard under the leadership of Dr. Fuentes to develop a tutor training program that meets the CRLA rigorous standards and has successfully completed the International Tutor Training Program certification peer review. And our labs are certified through January 31st, 2027. Now, achieving this certification means that our tutoring service have met CRL's high standards for tutor selection, training, direct services, and evaluation as an integral part of our overall tutoring program. Please help me congratulate Dr. Fuentes, Mr. Marabato, and Mr. Espinosa, the staff and the tutors for this great accomplishment. During my report in April board meeting, I informed you that the Texas Board of Nursing met on April 21st, and our Associate's Degree in Nursing Education program was on the agenda for consideration under changing our status from initial approval to full approval. In May, we received the certification program approval from our vocational nursing education program. So it is official. The certification is now valid from June 1st, 2022 through the May 31st, 2024. Please help me in congratulating Ms. Beth Katz-Pricing and all the nursing faculty, staff, and students for achieving this important milestone.
Yay.
Next, earlier this semester, I was contacted by Commissioner Harrison of the coordinating board to serve on a workshop to review the college needs and opportunities for small, medium colleges, college operations. They define small to medium colleges as 10,000 students or less. On May 23rd, at the request of the coordinating board, TSC was the designated host for the South Texas region listening session for the coordinator, in which other colleges presidents presided, which is all the way from San Antonio all the way to Brownsville. The coordinating board will be creating a report based on our feedback to the state legislatures with the recommendations for small and medium colleges from across the state of Texas. I will keep the Board of Trustees and the community informed. On May 31st, I provided the welcome remarks to the Texas Hispanic Servant Institutions Consortium Annual Conference, which was held on South Padre Island. The Hispanic Servant Institutions of Higher Education from across the state attended the conference held on May 31st to June 2nd. Representatives from the USDA and Department of Education and the coordinating board also provided remarks. The conference was geared towards grant writers and researchers to help them connect with state and federal resources. I do want to thank Dr. Nora Garza, Vice President of Resource Development and External Affairs of the Laredo College, and the Executive Director of the Texas Hispanic Servant Institutions Consortium for inviting me to provide the opening remarks. She recognized the South Padre Island is in Texas Southmost College service area and wanted to provide us the opportunity to share the wonderful work that our college is doing. Next, and in light of the tragedy in Uvalde, we provided a refresher course on active attack training to all employees on May 31st and June 1st. It was a mandatory training for all employees. 4 sessions were held to ensure all employees could attend one of the sessions. Mr. Jaime Salazar, Associate Vice President of Operations, reviewed safety and security measures available on campus, as well as the run, hide, and fight steps. The majority of the time was spent addressing questions. I do want to thank Mr. Salazar for preparing the training and for the candor he provided during the sessions. We also supported BISD town hall session that they had. On June 1st, we hosted our first Economic and Community Development Breakfast meeting at ITEC to enhance our partnerships with economic development, Chamber of Commerce, and small business in the Rio Grande Valley. A room full of business and economic leaders learned about our workforce training programs, future programs, grants, and customized training. I do want to thank Chair Adela Garza for attending the breakfast meeting. I want to acknowledge the workforce training team, Dr. Joe Flashman, Burbick Simon, and staff for organizing a great event. It was truly a great turnout. Thank you. Next, I learned that there is a thing called the National Chocolate Ice Cream Day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was on June 7th. To celebrate student life, provided free ice cream to students at the courtyard between North and South Hall. I'm happy to report that I served more of the ice cream than I ate, so it was okay, just for the record. The students were thankful for the treat, and I do want to thank Student Life for putting together that sweet, sweet event. Thank you. On June 8th, 30 TSC employees attended the mental health first aid training led by 2 representatives from the Tropical Texas Behavioral Health Center. Participants learned what mental health first aid training is and the current trends in the United States regarding mental health problems. They were also provided a mental health first aid action plan. The trainers also covered several topics on the first aid for suicidal behavior, depression and anxiety, panic attacks, traumatic events, overdose, and withdrawals. This was an all-day training for employees, and I want to thank Student Life for organizing this event and for Tropical Texas Behavioral Health Center for partnering with us, which was an event free of charge to us. On June 9th, Jaime Salazar and I attended the BISD, again, the Safety and Security Town Hall meeting at Hannah Early College High School. BISD administration invited us along with other local, state, and federal law enforcement organizations. This meeting was a result of the recent and reoccurring events and to remind us of the importance of maintaining strong partnerships in training and for keeping our communities well informed of our combined mitigation efforts to ensure the safety of our community and our educational institutions. Matters addressed included school safety measures, school safety initiatives, local, state, and federal partnerships, resources, mutual aid, response, proactive measures, and training. I want to thank the BISD board, the administration, and the superintendent for organizing this important town hall meeting and for including us in their discussions. Next, I'm proud to report that on June 9th, we received confirmation from the Cameron County Emergency Communication District that a project to display college buildings' names and numbers within their 911 mapping system at the dispatch centers across Cameron County, especially that of the Brownsville Police Department, since it fields most of the calls originating from TSC, has been completed. You have seen the numbers on the exterior of our buildings. For example, Gorgas Hall now has a designation of Building 5 on this mapping system. The results of this project allows 911 callers to relay their location by stating the building number to the dispatcher. In the event the caller does not know the name of the building and or the address of the building, the dispatcher will be able to match the building number to the building name and building address on their dispatch map. In turn, the dispatcher will provide accurate location information to emergency first responders and thus reduce the response time. I truly want to recognize Nathan Flores, the Emergency Management Coordinator for leading this effort. He and the team did a great job of researching the actual physical addresses for each building on the campus and assigning it with the Cameron County Appraisal District, and then transferring this data to the Cameron County Emergency Communication District for the 911 mapping system. It was about a 2-year project, and it turned out to be excellent. So please help me thank Nathan Flores and his team. This past Saturday, on June 11th, TSC employees were invited to play in a recreational softball game. 2 teams played for the bragging rights of softball champs, facilities versus student services. Family members were on hand to cheer on their favorite team. It was a battle to the finish, and the student service teams squeaked it out, but they did. The facilities team has already demanded a rematch. So we're having another one pretty soon. MVPs were Tiffany Hernandez for the exceptional catches in the left field, and Steven Cisneros for his outstanding infield play at third base and his hitting skills. Employees and their families enjoyed hamburgers and hot dogs after the game. Thank you to the student life and the recreational staff for organizing the game. I'm also thankful for the Board of Trustees for continuing to help us support these types of events. I'm also happy to report that no injuries and everyone was able to return to work on Monday morning.
That's what you think. Everybody's being iced as we speak.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of aches, but it's good. It's good. It was a great time. Also happening on Saturday, June 11th, was the Criminal Justice Institute graduation at CEPI Lecture Hall. 17 cadets, which included 1 female and 2 military veterans, graduated from the Criminal Justice Institute with their families in attendance. The graduates heard from Ms. Andy Harvey, City Manager of FAR, Texas, and former Chief of Police of FAR Police Department. They also heard from Chair Adela Garza, who provided heartfelt remarks on the hard work and the dedication of our graduates to get themselves to this point. So thank you, Madam Chair, for attending the graduation and sharing your words of inspiration with the graduates. At this point, I would normally call on Mr. David Tomlinson to give his update on the TSC Foundation. However, Mr. Tomlinson is in a conference with several other TSC employees related to a Student Emergency Fund grant award to TSC in the amount of $200,000 being run through the foundation. So attendance is mandatory, and the travel is being paid by the grant, so that was okay. With the board's permission, we'll pick it up in the next session. Finally, I would like to share with you this month's video highlighting the activities that have occurred since last month. Can you please roll the video, sir?
Lines a ball to deep left, and this one is gone.
Throw to first. Got him!
We want to continue to thank our Board of Trustees for your commitment and continued support to our efforts, to our employees, and the hard work of our students as well as our staff to continue to move forward. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Over at the Breakfast for the Economic Development, I learned how good people talk about TSC, and all the companies that were there had nothing but good words to say about us. What is the name of the company, the steel company?
Steel Coast?
Steel Coast was amazing. The gentleman could, Ruben can do our PR for TSC. I mean, he couldn't say enough things. And that other lady, Dr. Barbara? I was really amazed of how, we don't see it because we're inside, but outside there's a lot of chatter about what a wonderful job we're doing, and I thank the rest of the board for continuing to do this. With that being said, I'm going to go to presentation of scholarship donation by Brownsville Night Lions, and I'll call on Mr. Jesus Gonzalez, President of Brownsville Night Lions, to present the item. Mr. Gonzalez?
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to be able to come to your meeting. I briefly want to introduce the members that are with me. As he had said, my name is Jesus Gonzalez, and I'm the current president of the Brownsville Night Lions. Next to me is Lion member Jose Sáenz, Lion member Pete Infante, Lion member Israel Martinez. So again, real quick, I would like to say that I know the commitment that the college has for education and helping the community in getting the finest quality education as they can get. We very strongly support that, and we want to be a part of it. And having said that, we are giving a donation to the Texas Southmost College Scholarship Fund. And this donation, you all have the rules that you all follow. You do as you wish with the funds and how you handle this scholarship. But I'd like to, at this time, present you with the amount of $2,000.
Board members, can we join for a picture?
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you once again, Mr. Gonzalez, and all the Lions members. Thank you. Yes. ¿Dónde estamos? Item number 6, consideration and possible action on the minutes of the following meetings. We'll take it one by one. Regular meeting, May the 19th, 2022.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. De Leon, second by Ms. Aldrete. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries. Special meeting, May of 23, 2022.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. De Leon,
Second.
second by Mr. Herrera. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries. Item number 6A. Where am I? What happened here?
7A. 7.
7.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee. Mr. Herrera?
Yes, Madam Chair. Just a tad bit. Finance Committee met on Monday, June 6, 2022. Present were Ms. Aldrete, President Rodriguez.
Can you speak into the
myself.
mic, Mr. Herrera, please? Thank you.
The Finance Committee met
Thank you.
on Monday, June 6, 2022. Present were Ms. Aldrete, President Rodriguez, myself, and members of the TSC Administration and College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items: consideration and possible action on award of RFP 22-38 for temporary staffing services. I will call on Dr. Figueroa to present the item.
Thank you, Mr. Herrera. Madam Chair, members of the board, President Rodriguez. Before you have RFP 2238 for temporary staffing services. This RFP began in April 11th, and today we're here to propose it to the Board of Trustees. The scope of work is to have temporary employees when there's a need that we cannot fulfill at the moment with the current employees that we have. Most frequent positions that we use is like accounting clerks, administrative assistants, sometimes building maintenance, construction worker, cook, warehouse worker. The RFP was evaluated by Ms. Alicia Magallanes, Mr. Carlos Pesaro, Ms. Claudia Cortina, Ms. Crystal Height, Ms. Elizabeth Lara, Mr. Emilio Rodriguez, and Ms. Marcela Juarez. The pricing tabulation for this RFP, we received 9 responses. Some of them were from Brownsville, some of them from out of state. What you see in this slide is the rates that they will upcharge the position. So whenever we need a position, let's say an administrative assistant, we say the current rate is X for that position, they will do an upcharge of 23% the first company, or 29 or 27. In this second slide, you have the same information with the current TSC hourly rates and what will become if we were to go with any of those 9 companies. So this slide basically translates into dollars and cents what that percentage increase will be. The thing with going this way also is we don't have to pay benefits because they're not our employees. So they're employees of the agency. We just pay the agency for the services and they remain their employer. We don't have any of that comp, or it is not covered by any of our benefits. And when we no longer need those services, we just let the employment agency that's the end of the need, and that ceases. So there's nothing to do after that. Our RFP was evaluated with the current criteria that we use for all of our RFPs. And I went too fast. The expenses will be coming from the budget. Normally, it's because we have a vacant position that we bring a temporary employee, so that covers for the charges. And the proposal that we have includes 3 of the 9. Let me go back to the 3 of the 9 companies that bidded for this. Lane Federal Solutions from Atlanta, Georgia, Buzz Clan LLC from Dallas, Texas, and Region Staffing from Brownsville, Texas. So we're proposing 3 of these companies, so when we have the need for a temporary employee, we can shop around, ask the 3 of them and see who can meet the time and at the best price for the college. Are there any questions?
Mr. Herrera?
No. Do you think that this is the best option for the college?
Whenever we have a need, it's been useful. We normally don't spend more than $25,000, but because of current situation, it's been hard to hire certain positions. We have to resort to that. If we don't get an applicant pool when we have a position posted within a reasonable time, sometimes we can have the void in the department, so it's easier to bring somebody in temporarily where we are able to do the full-time position and hire that person. So that's where we've been utilizing it. We also have done short-term positions where, I'm gonna give you an example. Mr. Salazar had a need when we were getting a lot of COVID cases that somebody had to be on top of those emails to do some assessment and routing of those. And we brought in an extra help. It's not a full-time employee, so we don't need to hire somebody full-time, but sometimes we do need a certain help that these agencies can provide to us.
Thank you so much. I move to award RFP 22-38 for temporary staffing services to Lane Federal Solutions, Bus Clan LLC, and Region Staffing, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contracts as presented.
I second that.
I have a motion by Mr. Herrera, second by Ms. Aldrete. Discussion?
Dr. Figueroa,
Yes, sir.
so in the contract, does it stipulate how many days we need to hire somebody temporary, or it's up to us to determine that?
It's up to us. So sometimes we
there's no
said we
limit.
need somebody for a month,
Yeah.
and then let's say in 3 weeks we get the full-time person, we can always go and tell them, we're not gonna need them after Friday. And that's as easy as it gets. Or if we get onboarded somebody and it doesn't meet what we need them for, like let's say the person doesn't have the skills that we need, we can always say, send me a different one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
7B, monthly financial statement report for the month ending on April 30th, 2022. I'll call on Dr. Figueroa.
Thank you, Mr. Arana. With your permission, I'll have Mr. Pizarro do the financial.
Please.
Thank you, Dr. Figueroa. Mr. Herrera, Madam Chair, members of the board, President Rodriguez, I have for you the monthly financial report for the month of April. As you're accustomed to seeing, we're going to present 3 funds with revenue and expenditure information, and I'll mainly concentrate my presentation on the April column that you see here. And I'll begin with the first fund, which is the education and the general fund. We have at the bottom of the slide a subtotal for revenue, $1,753,000. That is revenue for general fund in the month of April. Moving on to the next slide is where the expenditures category begin for the education and general fund. We have 2 subtotals on this slide, towards the middle and then here at the bottom. Those are for salaries and wages and benefits respectively, $1.3 million and $372,000. Moving to the next slide, we have the M&O category for the general fund. That category begins on this slide, moves through the next, and concludes on this third slide. We have a subtotal at the bottom of the slide here, 837,000 for the month of April. Moving on to the next categories here in general fund, we have, did I skip a slide? Travel. So we have travel. I think I'll just wear my glasses and do it this way. My apologies. We have a subtotal at the top of the page, 12,900 for travel and education in general. And we have a negative subtotal here at the bottom of the general institutional category. This is not something out of the ordinary. I expected to see this amount on the financial statements in the month of April. This negative amount is due to the prepaid adjustments that we do for our insurance expense. So in the month of March, we saw the expenses go out for prepaid for insurance. And in this month, we're allocating out what belongs to the subsequent fiscal year in expenditures. So what we're saying is we're placeholding that money to ensure we account for it, not as an expense, but as a prepaid activity. That's why we see that negative amount there. The accounting staff work with me and we double check those amounts to ensure that the number you see there is accurate. So we fully expected to see that and it is accurately reported there. Moving on to the other categories, we have our scholarship amounts for $800 in the month of April. No transfers. And then we do have a subtotal for total expenses in the month of April of $2,495,000 for the general fund. So that is both revenue and expenses for the month of April. Moving on to the second fund, which is auxiliary. We have at the bottom of the slide a subtotal for revenue, $34,000 in the auxiliary fund. We have on this slide where the expenditures category begin. And we have salaries and wages and benefits on this slide. We have $121,000 and $32,000 respectively for those two categories. Moving on to the next slide, we have our M&O category in the auxiliary. And so like in the other reports we have seen in prior months, the description for the activity can be seen here on the very left. So for all that type of activity, we report in that same way. Drawing your attention very briefly, the subtotal for the April activity, $70,000 in M&O for auxiliary. The last slide in auxiliary fund recaps our travel, which is $452. And then we have a subtotal for all expenditures in auxiliary fund, $224,000 for the month of April. So that's revenue and expenses for auxiliary fund. Last fund that I'll cover, our general obligation and revenue bond funds. We have a subtotal for total revenue. The bottom of the slide, $75,000. And on the next slide, we have expenditures, which we had some fiscal agent fees that we paid totaling $12,000 for the month of April. So that's revenue and expenses for the general obligation bond and tax notes. So that's the three funds. The remaining schedules are similar to what you've seen in prior months. We have the detail for the health benefits. We have two subtotals here, 1.4 million and the 109,000 for the auxiliary fund and general fund respectively. The next slide has our fund balance recap. So the number at the top of this slide here ties to our audited financial statements. And then we have the activity that we've recapped so far with the estimated fund balance so far as of April, $23,259,000. The remaining section of this report has our debt service tables, and there has been no change to those tables since the last time we presented this report. That just recaps our debt service tables. If there's any questions, I'd like to try and answer those.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Pacero. Next item is 7C, Institutional Cares Expenditure Report. Calling Dr. Figueroa.
Thank you, sir. Madam Chair, members of the board, President Rodriguez, before you have the CARES expenditure report for this month, the additional expenses on the CARES fund were $183,557 for this month. And the details of that $183,000 are in the subsequent page with the description of what was purchased, the name of the vendor, the amount, and the quantities. If there's any questions, I'll...
Do we have any balance of how much money we have in the CARES Act?
So we still have a balance of about $3 million. We have some pending projects that haven't been approved and that we submitted to Department of Ed, and we're waiting to spend those funds once we get those approvals.
Thank you so much, Dr. Figueroa. Next item is, any questions? Next item is 7B, Fund Balance Operation Report on call on Dr. Figueroa.
Thank you, sir. This next report, it's a new report we're bringing in similar to the presentation that it was done at the year end when the auditor presented our financial statements. So over here you have the total operating expenses that we had last year divided by the number of days in the year and how much it takes us to operate each day, which is $174,937. It's what it costs to take the college. If we were, your question last month, sir, was how many days could we operate if we get not even one penny in there, and it will be about 133 days.
That's exactly what we want, that I wanted in the report, and I want the board to see it every month. Thank you so much.
Not a problem, sir.
Next item is grants report for May of 2022.
Good afternoon. I'm here to report on grants for the month of May. We received 3 grants. 2 of them were based on formula funding. From the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, Nursing Shortage Reduction Program, in the amount of $110,000, a little over $110,000, new award. The second one is, we've had this grant before, Skills for Small Business. We received an additional $50,000 for this year. And last, we are going to receive childcare from the Child Care Relief Fund in the amount of $791,000. I'm here if you have any questions about any of these grants.
Any questions?
Thank you so much, Dr. Fuentes. That concludes my report and the committee's report. Thank you so very much.
This was a no action item as required. Academic Committee, and I'll call on Mrs. Delia to present the items.
The Academic Committee met on Thursday, June 9, 2022. Present were Dr. Zavaleta, Chair Garza, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC administration, and College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items. 8A, consideration and possible action on an amendment of Memorandum of Understanding with Brownsville Independent School District for the Nita M. Lowy 21st Century Community Learning Centers Grant Program. I call on Dr. Joanna Kyle and Dr. Fuentes to present.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Chair, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez, with your permission, I'd like to ask Dr. Angelica Fuentes to present this item.
Madam Chair, TSC Board of Trustees, and Dr. Rodriguez, I'm here to present an amendment to a MOU that we've had with BISD since 2019. Everything that's stipulated in the MOU will continue for another year, and it will be our 5th year for our 21st century partnership with BISD, where we support 10 centers for after-school programming. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay. I move to approve the amendment of Memorandum of Understanding with Brownsville Independent School District for the Nita M. Lowy 21st Century Community Learning Centers Grant Program.
I second the motion.
A motion by Ms. San, second by Mr. Herrera. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries.
8B, consideration and possible action on approval of subscription renewal for the Learning Tool Interoperability Platform for Video Engagement. I call on Dr. Joanna Kyle, Dr. Fuentes to present this item.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Chair, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez, with your permission, I'd like for Dr. Fuentes to present this item as well.
Hello, I'm here for your approval for us to purchase PlayPosit. PlayPosit is an instructional design platform and boasts a powerful interactive player for video. It allows the students to, allows the instructors to see the students go through the work, time-stamped, searchable, exportable, and they can pull the notes for their own notes and to refer back to them. Here's a list of items, tools that it has for faculty and students. It's important to note that we do use PlayPosit for our QEP to collect data. It is a sole source, not because it has tools that no one else has, but it has the combination of tools that no other system has, and that helps with us with Canvas. Most importantly, the storage. Canvas limits our storage, and this PlayPosit will allow us to build courses larger than what Canvas gives us the ability to do right now. I've added some stats here of engagement hours. This is not the first year we use PlayPosit. We've had it about 3 years, but we're at a point where we're going to go over the threshold, and that's why we're bringing it to you today for your approval.
Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Give us an example of how you use this program
Yes, so I can show you
in-
an example I can explain.
in layman's terms.
So when a student opens Canvas and they see a video that an instructor put in there, the instructor can either record themselves or pull a video from YouTube. The instructor can embed questions as they go through the video. A lot of times they say, watch the video, and students play it and then they'll look the other way. This time with PlayPosit, the instructor will be able to embed questions, and you can't progress until you get the right answer. And so we've used this for the library since we have a partnership and we have a unique situation with the library. We want to make sure students know how to use the library. So we put a quiz and the students have to answer right questions before they can move on. It also gives the ability for credentialing and badges, so you can issue those to faculty and to students.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Sines, can I have a motion and a second, and then we can do discussion, please?
Okay, excuse me. Okay, proposed motion. I move to approve the subscription renewal payment for the Learning Tool interoperability platform from PlayPosit in the amount of $30,060 through sole source purchasing method, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Sines, second by Mr. De Leon. Discussion? Any
I
more
already
discussion?
indulged.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 8C, consideration and possible action to approve an annual renewal of affiliation agreement with Doctors Hospital at Renaissance. I call on Dr. Joanna Kyle and Dr. David Pierce to present.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Chair, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez, the item you have before you is a renewal for our current partner, DHR, through our clinical affiliation agreement with them. We do have in our affiliation agreement the ability to add one-year renewals at the agreement of both parties. So the memo that you have is simply a request to renew until August 31 of 2023. This has been reviewed and approved by legal counsel.
Senior and legal? Senior
And Junior.
and junior.
Okay, I move to approve the annual renewal of clinical affiliation agreement with Doctors Hospital at Renaissance for the Health Professions Program and authorize President Rodriguez to sign the agreement.
A motion by Ms. Sines,
I second.
Second.
second by Ms. Aldrete. Discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Item 8D, consideration and possible action on award of RFP 22-34 engine diagnostic equipment. I call on Dr. Joanna Kyle and Dr. Fleischman to present.
Thank you, ma'am. With your permission, I'd like to ask Dr. Flashman to present this item.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. President, good evening.
Good evening.
And we're here for the consideration of possible action of the award of RFP 22-34. The committee, this is for diesel diagnostic equipment. We originally went out for the RFP on March 30th. We evaluated those proposals on April 25th, and we're here this evening to share those results with you. Diesel diagnostic equipment that we are requesting to purchase will be funded from the True Grant, and there are two types. We have a TECA truck and we have a JULST. The TEXTA equipment, the first one on your left, allows us to specialize in truck, highway, and agricultural engines. The Textra Constructions and Off-Highway Diagnostic Scanner laptop that you see on the top row in the middle allows us to work on agriculture and heavy equipment. And the dealer level marine allows us to do the diagnostic on the diesel equipment, any of the marine type engines that we have in our region. The equipment that you see on the bottom is similar in that it does the same thing, but it is a different software and a different platform. The JULST commercial that you see on your left is for light and medium heavy duty diesel trucks and diesel CDLs. And the JULST off-highway full diagnostic kit allows us to do construction-related equipment and agricultural-related equipment. This will ensure that students who complete these programs understand the diagnostic equipment, so if they go to work in one of our auto dealers, the marine industry, or out at the port with heavy, that they'll be able to do that job in an entry-level position.
Okay.
The individuals who served on the evaluation committee were Claudia Cortina, Imelda Martinez, and Mr. Tom Tynan. There were 3 companies that bid on this equipment, but I would like to bring to your attention that LMG Sales Incorporated, although did not bid on every item.
Right.
Consequently, we did not consider them for this proposal. 2 companies did. Capital Acquisitions bid $58,000, and of course, Technology International bid $69,000. Based on that data, it is our recommendation that we use the True Grant from 2021, 2022 for you to consider purchasing the diesel engine diagnostic equipment through Capital Acquisitions in the amount of $58,455.
I move to award RFP 22-34 for engine diagnostic equipment to Capital Acquisitions, DBA OEM Diagnostics, in the amount of $58,455, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
Second the motion.
Have a motion by Ms. Sáenz, second by Mr. Herrera. Discussion.
I have a question. So you know how is there a reason why we're only ordering one of the last 3 items and not 2, like the top 2 packages or whatever?
We thought one was sufficient for the task, sir.
You do? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I also had a question. Did you just say that this equipment is what the dealers use?
Yes, ma'am.
And so the students would be using it here on campus, and when they go work, they're
Yes, ma'am.
familiar with this?
Yes.
Yes.
My question is, what program is using this? How many students in this program? And those are 2 questions.
This is for the new program that we were launching for the diesel program. In the past, you've purchased 8 engines. You've purchased, this diagnostic equipment allows us to plug it in to the forklift that you've purchased and the backhoe that you've purchased and run the diagnostics on that equipment so that we can find out what the fault is so that the students can then fix it. This is a new program for the college, and this is new equipment.
When does it start?
This program will start at the completion of the build-out, and we expect the build-out to happen between October and December, and it will start in spring.
Next year.
Yes, sir.
And what will the program be named, and what will it target, and what is the scope of this program?
I'm sorry, my hearing aids didn't pick all of that up.
Okay. What will the program be called? What will it target, and what will be the scope?
Mr. Herrera, in the microphone, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I forgot. What will the name of this program be? 2, what students will it target? 3, what will the scope of this program encompass?
This program will be our diesel mechanic program. We will target individuals who would like to go to work in the diesel industry, whether it will target individuals who want to work in the commercial sector for automotive, or if they would like to be that entry-level mechanic for our industrial, or there are certainly individuals in the agricultural industry. The farmers are telling us that they need individuals who can do the general diesel mechanic repair there. It is an entry-level diesel program so that the individuals will use this material to understand and read the diagnostics of an engine and understand everything that's possibly wrong with that engine. At the cursory stages where we're developing, we will be able to tear those diesel engines apart, repair those diesel engines, and fix the engine itself, which is that introductory diesel repair. I will tell you that as this program grows, and we're targeting those individuals between the ages of 18 and above who are interested in the diesel mechanic because it does pay better than a typical automotive, we're led to believe. And what we will be doing is opening up this program that you see today, and then as we identify a little better whether the diesel equipment, whether the diesel employers need someone who understands fuel systems or electrical systems, we will grow this program to include those systems at a later date. So ultimately, while we're opening up with a program that will initially run 160 hours and provide those individuals with the skills to go to the job and go to work, we will expand this program to more hours and more capacity as we understand what employers are actually looking for. Did that answer your question?
Perfectly.
Thank you, Dr. Fleischman. This concludes my report.
Wait, we need to take a vote.
Sorry.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Give me one second, Dr. Fleischman, when did we approve this program? It came to the board some months ago.
Probably 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Saenz.
This concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Saenz. Facilities Committee, and I'll call on Ms. Aldrete to present the items.
The Facilities Committee met on Monday, June 6, 2022. Present were Dr. Zavaleta, Mr. Herrera, President Rodriguez, myself, and members of the TSC Administration and College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items. 9A, consideration and possible action on approval for Campus Security Services annual contract through RFP 2017 for fiscal year 22-23. I call on Dr. Figueroa.
Thank you, Ms. Aldrete.
We could have taken the mic to you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, President Rodriguez, with your permission, I'll have Mr. Jaime Salazar present the Campus Security Services RFP.
Does he have to?
Does he have to? Well, I can present it for you,
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
but he's the subject matter expert.
Oh, okay.
Ma'am,
Don't fall down.
Yeah,
If I fall?
careful, he'll push you.
Will push me.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, President Rodriguez.
Your famed procedure.
Can I have some water, please? No, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this, these topics. Campus Security Services, RFP 20-17. So on the contract timeline, the initial proposal was in May 2023, and we're presenting it today to the Board of Trustees. I'm sorry. Yeah. Let's start all over again.
Let's start over.
The initial award was sent out in July 30th of 2020. We had the first contract renewal on May 20 of 2021, and today we're presenting the second available contract renewal for 2022-2023. Campus security services include, as you all will know, the campus patrol, building lockup and unlock systems, our command center system monitoring, our report writing systems, phone line monitoring, and security guard communication. Basically, all of the scopes that include 24/7 security guard services. The proposed hybrid security model for 22-23 includes this. As you will know, our incumbent right now is Allied Universal Security, who provide 24/7 security services. The current proposal as written includes the 10 armed officers, 6 unarmed officers for a total of $995,000. Option B, which we are proposing and recommending, would be an uptick to 19 armed officers, 10 unarmed officers for a total of $1.3 million. The increase there, the delta, the increase is an increase of 9 armed officers, 4 unarmed officers for a total of about $352,000. In addition to that, as the board approved the hybrid model a couple of years ago, comes with BPD, our off-duty Brownsville Police Department officers who are on campus Monday through Friday, 7 to 11. That we currently have 2 shifts covered with those officers from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Our proposal in option B is to increase that as we do not have BPD at the ITech campus. So we will be duplicating the same deployment posture we have here, there for the additional $125,000. The financial impact and comparison. So with Allied Security in Harlingen at the RFP 2017 would be the projected expenses of $995,000. With the Brownsville Police Department at $125,000. That would be $1.1 million on the current proposal. Our recommendation would be the projected expense with Allied Security Services at $1.3 million with the increase for option B, and the Brownsville Police Department expanding their services as well to ITech, an additional $125,000, which is a total of $250,000. So for the option B would be $1.5 million. We're going to show you a side-by-side comparison. Oh, that was a side-by-side comparison. So that's your comparison right there. The current numbers are 1.1 for the existing amount of staff that we have. The uptick, which we're recommending, would be 1.597, $1,597,091.20.
I move to approve annual contract renewal for campus security services with Allied Universal Security Services through RFP 2017 with hybrid model with Brownsville Police Department for fiscal year 22-23.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Aldrete, second by Mr. De Leon. Discussion.
Yes,
Yes.
I said it first.
Mr. De Leon.
Mr. Salazar, I reached out to him because, if in the perspective of how much we pay for an officer on an hourly base. It's a different perspective, and I don't know if you want to share with the board the numbers that you gave me.
Yeah, so we had a question from Mr. De Leon, and he wanted to know the hourly rates on a full breakdown. So for example, for Allied Security Service, an armed or commissioned officer, it's around $17 an hour, a little over that. For an unarmed officer, it's about $13 an hour, a little over that. And then for BPD is about $30 an hour to have them, so. I gave you, there's a little leeway there because I can't put out their exact numbers for the companies for obvious reasons, but they're very close to what I gave you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can you go back to the numbers to the,
That one, sir?
right there? How about if we were to increase the Brownsville Police Department police officers on campus and keep on doing the Allied Universal Services as we have them? Or add some armed officers and decrease the unarmed officers? What we need is presence, and the presence that can be seen is patrol cars. And that is, other than providing the security, it's also a deterrent to any crime. So I would think that if we had more police, real police presence, instead of the armed, because we're spending $1.5 million on the security services, Allied, whatever, Universal Security Service is going to walk away with $1.35 million. And I would think that we would be way, way, way better off to have more police presence than security guard presence.
We also have DPS in the campus, don't we?
Excuse me.
So DPS does co-locate with us, and they do victory rounds like on midnight shifts and other different times. So we do have that high profile. However, they're not on campus full-time.
Well, but
Wait, okay,
I had
finish.
the floor, no? So, they're not, the police officer's not on campus full-time?
DPS, he was asking about DPS.
Okay.
Brownsville PD is here Monday through Friday, 7 to 11 p.m. 7 a.m., 11 p.m.
So why don't we increase the BPD instead of the Allied Universal Security Service? I think that we've been served right with what we have with Allied Security, but we need to increase the number of patrol cars and the visibility of the police on campus. I think that you're relying too much on Allied Security Service to the tune of $1.347 thousand. And it is not a total of 1.5, it's 1.6, by $3,000. Semantics, correct?
So
Give me 1 second. Okay, this went to committee,
Yes.
and this discussion was at committee.
No, not this part of the discussion, no. I think what he's meaning is since we currently have 6 unarmed officers, and we're going to hire 4 more, those 4 to be from the Brownsville Police Department.
Yeah. I mean, that it goes to committee doesn't mean that we cannot discuss this and we cannot bring ideas. I've been working on this, I've been thinking, and I have been trying to figure out what would be our best bang for our buck. And the best bang for our buck is police presence.
Is that even an option? Because there might not be police.
So we've had these discussions multiple times. Sir, we've sat with the chief of police, we've sat with DPS, we've sat with multiple law enforcement and emergency response over the last 2 weeks. We've been pretty much doing this 24/7. And although we'd like to maybe do that, a couple of things are in question. One, a lot of the type of work that we're going to have Allied Security doing in the campus is work that BPD, one, we don't need to be paying that amount of money for a Brownsville police officer to open and close certain doors. However, I do need someone that's armed as a deterrent and a quick response should something happen in the particular zones. We've also adjusted our strategy, which maybe in closed session I can really explain to you all if you'd like. But really, the best bang for our buck is to have Allied Security increase armed weapons in certain zones that we're going to be going to on campus, and Brownsville PD to do the outer high visibility, to your point, high visibility, high profile, and they come in should they need to engage any suspect. In addition to that, sir, they probably won't have enough people. As it is, we're having a hard time because this is an off-duty thing that they do, the Brownsville police officers. So we even have a hard time now getting the amount of people that we need, even for like Brownsville, for the iTech Center as well. So I think this is a good mix and a good combination. However, to your point earlier in committee, things are changing every day. We're learning from every event that happens. So if something, happens elsewhere, we don't, God forbid it happens here, but we feel that this is a good mix of security guards, armed and unarmed, and the unarmed that we're increasing as well. It's to do things like monitor the cameras. Sir, this board asked us about a year ago if we were there. We weren't there yet. We're there now. We're going to have some of these unarmed now monitoring the cameras around the clock, and that's going to also help us. So we believe we have the right mix for our campus for the depth and width of what we need, sir.
This is for 1 year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, I have a motion and a second. You have a question?
My concern is for iTech. Can you tell me what improvements are going to be made in security at iTech?
Yes, ma'am. So we will be increasing the amount of personnel at iTech as well. We're going to increase the amount of allied security guards and the new addition. So one, that's going to be an uptick of what we currently have. We had a couple on day shift and on the evening shift, and then even less towards the evening and night shift. We will be increasing all of those, in addition to having someone just monitoring the phone and administratively so that the others can patrol. So you will see an increase of uniforms out there, and now the added addition of having the Brownsville Police Department there will also increase visibility on the outside of campus. We're also doing other things, and we're looking at other resources to increase how they patrol there to get them more places quicker, so that as people are walking in and out of the building, they see Allied Security and/or our Brownsville Police Department.
Okay, you had your chance, Mr. Herrera.
I didn't finish.
Go ahead.
Who owns Allied Security Services?
It's,
Allied Security Service is a national and international, one of the largest institutions of higher education security services. I'm sure it's a conglomerate of people. I can find out and get back to you exactly. And
Thank you.
It's a big.
okay, may I take a vote now?
Yeah,
I'll take a vote.
after I finish with my question.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Salazar.
9B, consideration and possible action on award of RFP 2236, fixed asset inventory services. I call on Dr. Figueroa or Mr. Salazar.
Thank you, Ms. Aldrete. With your permission, I have Mr. Salazar present.
Good afternoon again on fixed assets inventory services. So the RFP was published on the TSC website on March 30th through April 22nd. We proposed to the committee on June 6th, and tonight proposed to the TSC Board of Trustees. Scope of services, as we solicited proposals from the qualified companies to conduct this is a comprehensive physical asset inventory and reconciliation of approximately 1,100 square feet. This is not our entire campus and all of the square feet footage. However, this is the areas that we have capital assets and our major inventory accountability that we need to do. And obviously, this is a reporting requirement that we also have from the Government Accounting and Standards Board, the GASB. So the scope of services included 4 major areas, 4 big buckets, if you will. The asset scanning and tagging, that'll allow us to take a full inventory of our current assets that we have there and identify them by location, so that if anything goes missing or if ever we need to do a quick audit as required by the GASB board, we're able to identify what exactly is in what place, what location, what building, et cetera. Reconciliation will also be very important. Upon completion of the services, we will be able to have a full inventory of what we currently have in our database to what they account for, reconcile it, and provide us that full inventory, which will get us up to par of where we need to be for accountability purposes. Number 3, the acquisition cost research, reconcile assets. So basically, they're going to do research and see what we have, put a number to it, and it gives us a better idea as to the cost that we have for each particular asset and or if any depreciation has happened. That also helps us, just as a side note, for our inventory and what we do for our insurance accountability as well. Lastly, 4th, deliverables, provide a populated asset database. This was the so what, this was the differentiator for us in that other companies were, as you'll see in a minute, other companies were providing us a spreadsheet. They're providing us a full database system that we're going to query ad hoc to get whatever information we need. So that's a part of the requirements. The RFP evaluation committee was Mr. Carlos Pesero, the controller, Ms. Crystal Height, budget analyst, Ms. Marcela Juarez, director of operations, and Mr. Osvaldo Padilla, warehouse specialist. So RFP pricing and scoring tabulation, you can see we had 3 respondents. CBIZ Incorporated out of Dallas, Records Consultants Incorporated out of San Antonio, and Advantech Incorporated out of Annapolis, Maryland. Proposed contract amounts, you can see respectively in the score on the far right, 83. We are proposing Records Consultants Incorporated, who we currently work with now for some of our data management that we have in records management, at $84,500. RFP evaluation criteria was a standard one across the board. And a budget and financial impact, the expense will be coming from the approved budget for FY 2021-2022.
I move to award RFP 2236 for fixed asset inventory services to Records Consultant Incorporated in the amount of $84,500 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract as presented.
Second.
I have a motion, Ms. Aldrete, second by Mr. Herrera. Discussion.
Yes. So is this a yearly renewal contract?
No.
Or no? Is it a one-time cost? And then we'll have access to the software?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
9C, consideration and possible action on contract approval for campus parking lot improvement project. I call on Dr. Figueroa and Mr. Jaime Salazar.
Good afternoon again, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, President Rodriguez. Thank you again for the time. Campus Parking Lot Improvements, RFP Proposal 22-32. So the base proposal, if you recall, was for the main campus at TSC with R1, R2, R3, and R4, basically all around our campus. You can see R5 in the physical plant area. We chalked that off and said it wasn't that bad. We were able to sustain that with some additional side work. So R1 through R4 is the base proposal. The alternate sites, as you all can recall, was at iTech Center, R6 in the front western portion, R7 on the east side of the campus itself. The iTech parking lot conditions, you all will know if you've driven out there, they need some work. G&T Paving, as the board awarded on the contract on the last round, their base proposal was what we see there from items 1 through 6. We'll cover that first with the base proposal number, their initial proposal to us, and the negotiated proposal on the right-hand side. As you can see, we knocked out the biggest area that we were able to negotiate was the R3 parking lot. And then we removed the R5 parking lot as we saw on the X. That brought us down from a 1.9 to a 1.4. The alternate locations, which we identified as iTech, we were able to negotiate those with the amount of money that we had left that we already had to deal with, which was $1.8 million. So you see we were able to negotiate that down on alternate Alpha 1, which is the back. That's the amount of money we believe we need to just patch up that work. It won't be a full fix at this point, but it'll be good enough to get us through the areas and make sure that those roads are safe. And the total's down at the bottom of $1.8 million.
Okay. I move to approve contract with G&T Paving LLC in the amount of $1,800,000 for campus parking lot improvements and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract and change orders as presented.
Second.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Aldrete, second by Mr. De Leon. Discussion.
I have a question. Where's that money coming from?
The parking lot fund that the board had previously authorized to spend on parking repairs, sir.
We have the 1.8.
It's 1.5, the other 300 coming from what we had set aside at the beginning of I don't know if you remember, but we did a budget amendment to move some funds from last year to this year that were allocated for parking lot. So the full 1.8 is allocated for parking lot expenses.
But the question is, where is it coming from? Is it coming from the parking fee, all of it, or only 1.5 and 3 from somewhere else?
1.5 is out of the parking fee. The other 300 are coming from part of the funds that we adjusted the budget because of the CARES Act funds that we were reimbursed for.
Thank you.
Take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
This concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Aldrete. Policy Committee, Mr. J.J. De Leon.
The Policy Committee met on Monday, June 6, 2022. Present were Mr. Herrera, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC administration and college and the legal counsel and board legal counsel. The committee discussed the following items. 10A, consideration and possible action on approval of the following local policies, CKD, DEC, and DMD. We'll go one by one. We'll go with the first one, CKD Local Insurance and Annuity Management, Health and Life Insurance. Do we go by all of them? How do you all, I could do all three.
We can do all three.
Okay, and the next one is DEC Local, Compensation and Benefits, Leave and Absences, and DMD Local, Termination of Employment, Resignation. And I will call Mr. Peña, Legal Counsel, and Mr. Frank Perez, BOT Legal Counsel, to present the item.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon, Madam Chair, members of the board. You have before you the policies that Mr. De Leon has referenced. CKD, really, the blue provision in there deals with employees outside, 75% working outside of the state of Texas. This does not apply to us. It must have come up with some college, and so they've inserted it that. I seriously doubt that we will ever have an employee who's outside of the state of Texas who performs 75% of their work outside of that. And that's the only real change in that. DEC local is compensation and benefits. That has significantly different aspects to it. Perhaps the most important have to do with the resignations, I beg your pardon, the compensation and benefits, the leave, FMLA leave. We're changing that to have it begin when the employee first starts on FMLA. And it's a 12-month rolling period for FMLA. This particular policy also deals with vacation leave, how that is earned. And then it also deals, apparently some districts had used paid leave to offset workers' comp. This policy clearly indicates that we cannot do that, and we shouldn't do that. It has the issues dealing with sick leave, the sick leave pool. Those are all part of this. As you can tell, the blue text is a new text. Anything that's in red has been omitted. The green just simply means that it's been moved. The last one is DMD local. That is the one with resignations. Basically, that one allows the employee to resign, term employee to resign during his or her term. It's by submitting it to their immediate supervisor. That would be, the president is able to designate individuals who are able to accept the resignations, and he will do so in order to expedite resignations. Those are the main changes in our local policies. You've got a ton of legal policies which are already in the system. If anybody has any questions on any of those, we'll be happy to try to respond to those, or the local policies.
So if nobody has any questions, I move to approve the local policies as presented.
Second. I have a motion by Ms. Trudel Leon, second by Ms. Alejandro. Discussion. Okay. This came to committee and you all worked it out, right?
You just want to know how you solve for X.
Okay.
I just want to know how you solve for X.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries.
And then 10B, TSC legal policies update number 43. I will call on Mr. Perez to present this item.
Yes, Madam Chair, Board of Directors, Board of Trustees, and President Rodriguez. TASB has sent us the update 43 on the legal policies. As you know, the legal policies represent a compilation and summary of the applicable laws that govern our functions as a community college. There is no action to be taken on any of these policies. It's, they do strongly recommend that you familiarize yourselves with them. And of course, as Mr. Peña suggested or advised, anytime you have a question about these, we would be happy to answer those questions.
Okay. Mr. Leon?
That concludes my presentation, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Leon. Criminal Justice Institute report, Dr. Rodriguez?
Yes, ma'am. I'm telling you. I'll pass some of this information around. I want to share with the Board of Trustees that the Criminal Justice Institute Advisory Board met on May 13th, June 13th. We called a special board meeting to revisit and come up with a new Criminal Justice Institute academic admissions requirements. Within the process of the discussion, it was unanimously approved to move forward with the new academic admissions requirements that you see before you. Those will be implemented with this upcoming cohort of students that will start in July. The new cohort goes from July of this year to December of next year. So we're looking forward to make a good change and have a positive impact on the test results. It's worth mentioning, once the cadets complete their training, they have 6 months to take the exam, which starts from January 23 to July 23. So our intent is upon completion, we would encourage them to take the exam ASAP and reach that 80% mark.
Okay. Any questions?
Yes, many. Who determined that this was going to be, what was going to be used by the Criminal Justice Institute?
That was something that was evaluated by the VP of Construction, Dr. Brian Powell, Dr. Flashman, that board runs under it, as well as Wilhelmina. I reviewed some or most of it that was presented to me. We shared it with the advisory board for their feedback and approval.
Okay, what is the current composition of the advisory board, and who gets to name them?
Right here.
There is a advisory board committee within the regulations by the, it has to have a breakdown of 2/3 of legal, law enforcement, and 1/3 of civilians. There is a list of membership in the information I presented. We've got 3 civilians and 6 legal or law enforcement. So it has to be a 1/3 civilian, 2/3 law enforcement committee. After doing some research, because we did find out, Herrera, that the composition, well, not the composition, the appointment to be part of the advisory board is determined by the Texas Administrative Code, which gives Dr. Joe Flashman and Dr. Alves the.
Dr. who and Dr. who?
Alves, who's the dean or department chair, department chair, or the associate vice president, Dr. Flashman, to appoint the individual to the committee. So if there is interest, please make any recommendations to Dr. Flashman, and Dr. Flashman will make the formal appointment to it. That is something that will be changing as well as we move forward.
Okay, since we just got this right this very minute, can you give us a presentation, or can Dr. Cal give us a presentation on the composition of this? How many are, what's the maximum number of persons that can be in this committee? Because
There is no maximum, but they do require a minimum of 3. We're trying to shoot for 6, but the minimum are 3 appointed by the organization, but there is no maximum.
is there any members of this committee who have missed more than 2 consecutive meetings without providing written notice? And is there a record of this? Because I think that we're having severe issues with this institute, and we need everyone to be on board on this, and we need all eyes on this institute. We need an advisory board that is hands-on.
Yes.
So I would like to ask how many persons have missed 2 or more consecutive meetings, and what are the actions being taken by administration or the board?
Yes, sir. I don't know if you've got that information, Dr. Flashman?
I'm not carrying that in my head, sir, but I will find out. We track that.
But it's one of the things that the committee changed is allowing hybrid models during the board or the advisory committee, where people can zoom in or be there in present as well. Though we encourage them to be there present, my understanding is that we're allowing them to zoom in and provide their feedback.
And what is the function of this board?
Is to advise, provide, and help with the curriculum.
And who gets to decide what is on the agenda for this board?
The chair, do you remember who the chair is?
Well, but the chair gets recommended by who?
Oh, by
Wilhelmina.
Wilhelmina, by Dr. Flashman, by Dr. Alves, or if we feel like in this case, the administration.
Okay.
And who's the chair?
What's his name? Yes.
Kirk Mack.
If the administration has been suggesting to the board
Sure.
what items to get advice on, for the past year and a half, they've not been doing let me rephrase that. We have had problems with whatever is presented to the board. The board does not know anything about the program, how it functions, where it is at with TCOL, other than what information is provided to them by the program director, the dean, the vice president. So I would dare to say that should this board know of the problems that the institute is having, they would be taking some different actions on this.
But it has to come from, it has to come because this is an advisory board from outside. They don't know the program. They will listen to whatever the program director says, and we hope that as a board, they study and they give us the recommendation.
So
It has to
Madam Chair-
start from administration.
And I understand, and that's what I was saying. How can we fix this? Because whatever is being presented to this board, we can have a stellar board, we could have the FBI director, we could have the Supreme Court justice, we can have, but if they get presented facts that are not relevant to the success of the program, what good will we have to have a stellar board? So how can we fix this? Because whatever is being fed to this board is not working.
And that's why I've interjected myself in this process now, sir, to try to rectify and polish whatever we need to make it a more stronger board and a stronger selection of the candidates that we move forward with. And we'll continue to monitor it, and as requested by the board, we'll be given updates on a monthly basis. Feedback that I get from each of the current trustees, I do take it very seriously, and I do implement it. I am holding Dr. Joanna Cow accountable, as well as Dr. Flashman, to move this program forward. It is-
But as the chair said right now, the board is only as good as its information it is given. And the breakdown is what information is given to this board. That's where the issue is. I'm pretty sure that all these board members are fine persons, and if you give them the problems, they would have or help have solutions. But if you hog the information and you don't share with the advisory board, what good is a board?
Okay, will you allow Ms. Sines to say her piece? Go ahead, Ms. Sines.
Can we make nominations to this board?
Please, we welcome them.
I have somebody in mind.
If you can send them to me, I'll share them with Dr. Flashman, or you can contact Dr. Flashman directly and say, I would like to nominate X, Y, and Z. And again, Dr. Flashman has the authority by the Texas Administrative Code to say, yes, we'll appoint, which means we bring them in.
I would ask the board to find people that they would like to nominate to this board. And since we're in a time of crisis right now, we need to fix this. And I'm pretty sure that the more the merrier.
Yes, sir.
We take it, Mr. Herrera.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now, we are going to go, item 12, presentation of faculty contracts.
I propose this item. I want to ask the chair to allow me to table this thing. The president is working with legal on some issues with this item, and I would propose that we see this in August.
Okay. So this was not an action item, so, okay, we'll move on. Item number 13, executive session. The board will now convene in executive session as provided by Government Code, Chapter 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. We're back from executive session. Executive session items. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I move that the board approve the fiscal year 2021-2022 salary schedule as discussed in executive session.
I second that.
A motion by Mr. De Leon, second by Ms. Aldrete. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. That's all we have.
Announcements.
Announcements.
Announcements. Next meeting, we're not going to have a meeting in July, so we can go and have fun and don't have to come back.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to have items number 11 and 12 be brought to the agenda again for the next board meeting with the request made to Dr. Rodriguez on the Criminal Justice Institute.
Okay.
10 and 11. 11 and 12, I apologize.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I beat him.
Motion by Mr. Herrera, second by Ms. Alejandro. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Yeah?
Meeting adjourned.
Stand adjourned. Woo!